What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and I'm here to take you through the most comprehensive NBA player prop preview you are likely to see. If it's your first time checking out the channel, I'll let you know I do this every single day. I share my screen, I take you through the players that I like. We even talk about the things I don't like, and I do all this to give you all the information to make the best bets possible. So if you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. Get those noties on because I'll be doing this every single day. Now, for those of you who told me yesterday, you'd be pretty happy today because we had a pretty strong day. We cashed Alec Burks' over, Anthony Edwards overs in points, Anthony Edwards for more than 35 points, Naz Reid over his points and rebounds, Aaron Gordon over his points and rebounds. Pretty sweat-free. And if you put some of those together like I did, you'd be pretty happy with the parlays that you made. So looking to run it back again. I'm feeling pretty good. Had a good read the last few days. It's all starting to come together. We've got 2 more games to preview. Before we preview, let's quickly review the 2 games that we just went through so we can talk about what was right, what was wrong, and then I'll get into this Boston and then this OKC game. So I want to kick it off with the Knicks versus Pacers real quick. We'll hammer these out. All right, so the Pacers got the win. It was a blowout, so something that I did not see happening. 32-point victory for the Pacers. Series tied at 2-2. Quick review of the box score, though. Let's take a look. We had Josh Hart. He only had 3 rebounds. Played 23 minutes. Well-deserved break. But for those of you who bet Josh Hart, you'd be pretty upset with that effort. What else do we have? Isaiah Hartenstein did nothing. Dante DiVincenzo. That was one of the bets I did take, and he sucked. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 from 13. But I'm telling you, next Knicks versus Pacers game, I'll be all over Dante DiVincenzo points. Jalen Brunson, 18 points and 5 assists in 30 minutes played. Miles McBride, strong game. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists off the bench. So these bench guys really got it going. And we had Alec Burks. He scored 20 points off the bench in this one. 5 boards. So jumping into these Pacers, though, what did we see? Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, even Tyrese Halliburton, they all went under. This blowout ruined everything unless you were brave enough to back the under or bench players like I was not. The previous game, I had bets on Ben Shepherd, Obi Toppin, and TJ McConnell. They all flopped. Now in this game, Ben Shepherd, Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell went crazy. Absolutely covered the shit out of it. So difficult game to bet on this one. No one was expecting that blowout. And the blowout occurred. So if you took a lot of props in that game, you'd be very disappointed. I personally only had 2 bets in that game. Got caught on the hook with Halliburton. Dante DiVincenzo let me down. But in this in this Wolves game and Nuggets, this is where the cash came in. So Denver got the win. Ties it up 2-2. Looking at the Denver Nuggets, though, Michael Porter Jr., 4 points and 3 rebounds. I told you guys in the video that I did yesterday, that despite his strong performance, the sportsbooks moves his line down. And he sucked. 4 points and 3 rebounds. We then had Aaron Gordon, 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. I was all over that. I told you he was going to come back and bounce he did. So he took his play. That cashed. Nikola Jokic, I had a really strong lead on him going over his points. He scored 35. That cashed very well. We had Jamal Murray finish on 19 points, 8 assists, 5 boards. I had a lean on him to go under his assists, to be honest, but Denver were rocking and rolling. He got a lot of these assists nice and early. And that was pretty much it I had on that Denver team. And then rolling into Minnesota, I had strong feelings about Anthony Edwards. You can go back and watch that last video. So Anthony Edwards is going to be a beast today. So I'm not too confident of betting any of the other players' points props because I think Anthony Edwards is going to take over. And did he ever? 44 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Very close to hitting our same game value play on him. 1 rebound short. But we did cash his 35 points. I was like plus 310, I believe. Mike Conley had a strong game, 15 points, 9 assists. Naz Reid, we did back his over and he did deliver. Karl Anthony Towns, he sucked. He was 5 from 18. Rudy, 11 and 14. That's not too bad. Jaden McDaniels managed to score 11 points as well. Nickeil Alexander-Walker struggling off the bench. But we had a lot of those reads right, which I was pleased with. And I was most pleased that ones I actually bet on were the ones that came home for me. So hoping we can do the same. I am rolling into this slate with what I would call an overconfidence. These playoffs have been tough, but for me to have such a winning day, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about myself, so I've got a few opinions and a few leans on how this game's going to go. We'll start with the Boston Celtics versus the Cleveland Cavaliers first. And who are we going to start with? Let's start with these Cavaliers because I don't know what the hell's going on with them. We'll start with Donovan Mitchell, shall we? So Donovan Mitchell has been excellent so far in this series, scoring the ball, that is. His points line now is up to 30.5. In 3 games in this series, he scored 33, 29, and 33 points. His minutes only seem to be going up. His shot attempts 25, 19, and 22. He's been shooting a very good percentage from the field, and it makes sense. The way that he plays, how he scores, it's a weakness to the Boston Celtics, but he is the only player really doing some damage. Now, can Donovan Mitchell cover this 30.5? Yes, I think he can. Will he? That I'm not sure of, because the line is pretty sharp. And him to get these points that he has been getting, he's been doing work from downtown. Check out his 3-pointers made, 4, 5, and then 7 3-pointers made in that last game. A whole lot of attempts. And if you watch that game, you'd be pretty mesmerized with how good it was going. And I don't know if he can sustain that because he was, playing very well. So that's my only concern. 30.5 is a very high line. I'm not too confident taking that, but especially for someone who doesn't get to the free throw line at all. Like Jalen Brunson, that makes sense to me. He's shooting 25 to 30 times and he's getting to the line a lot. Donovan Mitchell, not even shooting the ball that much, and he doesn't get to the line. He does shoot more 3-pointers, yes, but that's a lot of 3-pointers Donovan Mitchell needs to make in order to cover. So I'd probably lean to the over, but it's not something I'm too hot on. If we look at his assist prop, that's at 4.5. 3 games in this series, 5, 8, and 3 assists. Looking at his potential assists, 12, 7, and 8 potential assists. So I'd probably lean to the over here, but so are the odds. Minus 135 to the over. I'd lean that way given how well he's been scoring. I'm assuming Boston would need to try to slow him down, but at the same time, they're winning, right? So they probably don't need to. But I don't have a strong read on his assists. His rebound prop looks money. 3 straight games, he's gone over 5.5 rebounds, 6, 7, and 6. Looking at his potential rebounds, 13, 11, and 12. This line opened at 4.5 in the first game. It's been 5.5 in the last 2, but he's still been cashing that regularly. Just look at head-to-head matchups against Boston. He's now cashed his rebound line in 6 consecutive games. So looking at the numbers, yeah, definitely I'd look at the over for sure, right? Potential rebounds are there. He's going to get minutes. He's consistently been achieving this, but I don't want to bet any of those types of bets anymore. Well, not through these playoffs anyway. If this was a regular season, hell yeah, I'd be all over it. 6 straight games over 6 boards, let's go. But in the playoffs, weird shit's been happening. And when I've been betting on players that look just like this, it hasn't been working for me. But yeah, from all accounts, the data looks great. Does he get there? Yeah, the opportunities are there and he has been hitting it. But I, for one, am not going to be taking that. Sticking with these Cavaliers, we have Darius Garland. So Darius Garland has pretty much played very similar in every game, and that means he hasn't been hitting his line. So his line's at 15.5. They refuse to move it. He's gone with 14, 14, and 15 points, so getting very close to this line. His attempts, 15 and then 15. In the second game, he did make a lot of 3-pointers. That last game, 1 from 6. So a lot of these games where he's gone on, the first and the third game, the volume was there, but the percentage was not. In the second game, took only 8 shots, but the percentages were sky high. So tough to get a read here on Darius Garland. I think he's due to break out and cover this line eventually. And at home, it makes sense. But I'm not willing to take that bet on Darius Garland. I don't know about you, but you feel free. You can take that. I just don't feel like this is the game for me. And I think when he does break out of it, I probably won't bet the next game after anyway. So if he doesn't get it this game, though, in the closeout game, I'll probably back the over. Probably. Let's look at his assists. 5.5 is the line now. He's cashed this in 1 out of 3 games. 5, 4, and 6 so far in this series. His potential assists, 10, 8, and 9. So those potential assist numbers are not great, but that's also why we're seeing Darius Garland with a line of 5.5. 13-point loss in the last game, but still managed to produce 6 assists. The minutes are there. I really think this line's pretty sharp. It's just about where it needs to be. So, yeah, I'm not willing to take that bet. So nothing on Mitchell, nothing on Garland from me. Evan Mobley is one. That could be a little bit interesting. Now, let's have a look. Jared Allen, he's a game-time decision. It's questionable. Ribs. He's missed 6 consecutive games with bruised ribs. While he's been sidelined, Evan Mobley playing center, Okoro getting to the starting lineup, Tristan Thompson playing the backup center role. So, yeah, there's no real news on whether Jared Allen's going to play or not. But, yeah, his ribs must be in a pretty bad way. So, Let's take a look at Evan Mobley. His points line is at 15.5, and he has cashed this in 3 straight games, 17, 21, and 17. If Jarrett Allen plays, I don't like this, but if Jarrett Allen doesn't play like he has been missing, then I think this is a good look. In terms of his attempts, 12, 15, and 11, he's been shooting a very high percentage, 67, 60, and 64%. Not getting to the free throw line very much at all, so you're really relying on him making buckets in order to cover this line. So what are my thoughts on this? The over 15.5 for plus money. Lately, I've been taking the under on these types of plays because the hit rate is good. The line refuses to budge, which means he's due for some regression soon. But I did read a report that Donovan Mitchell was speaking to Evan Mobley after this last game saying, we need you to be more aggressive. You need to be more aggressive. Apparently, he said it 10 times back to back. You need to be more aggressive. And why he's saying that is because Evan Mobley is their most efficient scorer. You can see he's shooting 60% in all 3 games, but he only attempted 11 shots. So if Evan Mobley is listening to my man Donovan Mitchell, then I think this could be a good look to take his over. So if he is going to be more aggressive, I don't mind taking the over 15.5 points. I'm not taking this point because he's hit it in 3 games. It's not that. It's the fact that he's been really efficient, and Donovan Mitchell has been telling my man to put up more shots, get more aggressive. So I'm gonna lean that way. Now, Evan Mobley's assist line's at 2.5. He's covered this in 2 out of the 3 games, 3 and 1. Potential assists are quite low, so I wouldn't back Evan Mobley's assist line with any confidence. His rebound line is back at 10.5, so it's been 10.5 for quite some time. I think one of the games went up to 11.5. I think it was the second game. Went up to 11.5, he finished on 10. Then the following game went to 10.5, and he finished on 8. So he's covered this in 1 of 3 games. His rebound chances in the last 2 games haven't been great. 17 and 16 rebound chances. I would honestly lean to the under here for Evan Mobley, but that's not it'll be a frustrating bet to play and a sweaty bet to play because Evan Mobley's usually going to get very close to this. So if I wasn't watching the game, I'd probably bet the under. I know that I am, so I don't want to fuck around with it. So Evan Mobley unders on his rebounds is probably a lean, but I also like his over in points. All right, next up we got Max Strus. So limited markets available. I think everyone's waiting on the Jarrett Allen news to come out. But Max Strus, his point line's at 9.5. In the 3 games this series, he's gone 5, 12, and 6. The minutes are there for Max Strus. The shot attempts are very similar, 8, 10, and 8. It all comes down to his field goal percentage. If he's going to shoot 50% from the field, he's going to go over. But if he has a bad shooting night like he has been, where he's shooting 25% from the field, he's going under. Now, if we look at head-to-head matchups against Boston, he's played them 5 times this year. He's covered this number twice, 2 out of the 5 games, and you can see it here on this graph. The games where he goes under, that shot percentage is impacted heavily. In the games he goes over, he either shoots a high percentage or he takes a whole lot of shots. Now, I don't think those shots are going to be here. The only thing you need to figure out is the shot percentage. So I would personally lean to the under on this. It's not a bet that I'm going to take, but that's the way I'm thinking for Max Strus. If we look at his assist prop, 2.5. I did say it on the last video that the under on his 2.5 assists is the way to go because he's only averaging 3 potential assists per game. Well, he got 5 potential assists in that last game, but he still only finished with 2. So that cashed. Now, would I be leaning the under again? Yeah, probably. But at these odds, at minus 148, it's not something I'm willing to touch. His rebound line is at 4.5. In this series, 2, 6, and 5 boards. So covering in 2 out of 3 games. That last game, he had 12 rebound chances, much higher than the first 2 games where he had 5 and 7. At 4.5, I'd probably lean to the under, to be honest. I think those rebound chances are quite high. Something that I expect him to get too often in this type of series. So I'd probably lean to the under there for Max Strus as well. So under in his rebounds and assists could be a thought process. Under in his whole PRA, actually, now I think about it, because I'm leaning the under for points, rebounds, and assists. So he's cashed this in 1 of the 3 games against Boston in this series and 2 out of the 5 games this year. So, yeah, I'll lean to the under, but it's not something that I know I'm not going to bet because I'm not too confident on it. But that's just where my thoughts are. Now, jumping into these Boston Celtics, we've got Jason Tatum first. Now, he finally erupted, finally scored some buckets in that last game. Sucked because I bet he's under. But let's take a look. His points line is at 27.5. Some books have him at 28.5. Regardless, the numbers look very similar anyway. So he's cashed this 27.5 in 2 out of his last 10 games. In this series, he's cashed in 1 out of 3. So he's got 18, 25, and 33. Looking at his trends against Cleveland, in 9 games against them, he's covered this line 3 times. Has got very close to it quite a few times, but actually exceeding it on only 3 occasions. Now, in that last game, he played 42 minutes and he took 25 shots. That's the most shots he's taken against Cleveland in the last 2 years. He shot 44% from the field, which is pretty much in line with his average. 2 from 8 from downtown, 25%, not great. But he did get to the free throw line quite well, making 9 from 9 free throws. Now, I bet the under the last game purely because looking at his percentages, looking at the average volume that he takes, I think he goes under. But he happened to shoot the ball 25 times, which is a lot more than what we have been seeing from Jason Tatum. Now, my personal gut feel, if we just say ignore the data, what do I think is going to happen? I would be leaning to the under once again because the read is still right. His shot percentage is still not good. He shot 44% in that last game. He just happened to shoot the ball 25 times. His shot percentage is not great. He's not connecting well from downtown. He still takes a lot of bad shots. Getting to the line is a little bit scary. But I'm still leaning to the under here for Jason Tatum. His points prop. And that's purely because he doesn't normally produce at this level. That 27.5 is an outlier. You can see it in his head-to-head matchups only 3 times. We could look at his last 10 games. He's only hit this twice. If you look at the season, he's only hit this line at a 40% rate. But I guess I'm trying to talk myself out of it. Let's say if he plays 40 minutes a game, because I'm overconfident on this bet. If he plays 40 minutes a night, you can see here on the season, he's played 40 plus in 16 occasions, and he's covered this line in 10 of those 16 games. So, yeah, I'm leaning to the under. I'm not going to take the bet now that I think about it, because the minutes should be there for Jason Tatum, but that's definitely the way that I'm leaning. Now, looking at his rebound line, it was at 9.5 when I looked at it earlier, but it's moving up to 10.5 now. Even at 9.5, the odds weren't great. And 10.5, he's cashed this in 2 out of the 3 games so far in this series, 11 and 13. The game he went under was when Cleveland blew the Boston Celtics out. Now, Tatum had 13 boards in the last game. He had 18 rebound chances. Now, given the volume of rebound chances that he could potentially be getting in this game, I still like the over here for Tatum. They've moved the lineup, but it still doesn't worry me because he's got it done against Cleveland in the past. It might be a sweaty-ass bet to take that over at plus money. But, yeah, it's something that I don't mind. I think another way to look at this is because the 9.5 is quite juiced. I'm going to open up my sportsbook right now. Whereas you could still take the 9.5, but then you can make a same-game parlay out of it and try to get some juicy odds from there. So let's go. Jason Tatum, 10 rebounds. I'm getting 10 rebounds minus 130, which isn't too 131 to be honest. 130. Whereas here on it telling me minus 140 across their book. So you got to do some line shopping. But if I was to take Jason Tatum to get over 9.5 rebounds, where his line was at last time, and we look at his points, we maybe just take him for 20 points perhaps. Well, he's got 18 in that first game, but I don't think he could be that bad again. He was terrible in that game. Maybe his assist prop. Is there anything on there? I'm just trying to get this to better money. So he's had 5, 6, and 6 assists in the 3 games. We could potentially look at 4 assists maybe. Let's just look at 20 points as an example. I'm not going to submit the bet. So if I take Jason Tatum for 20 points and 9.5 rebounds, that only takes it to minus 125, which is still not great. Maybe we look at 4 assists. 4 assists for Jason Tatum. There we go. Plus 100. So if you take Jason Tatum for 4 assists, and then you take him for 10 rebounds, plus 100 odds. So that could be another we look at. Whilst I'm on the assist side, yeah, the potential assists were good in 2 out of the 3 games. I can't see how he doesn't get this, though. In the playoffs, let me just look at his last 10. He's covered 4 assists in 8 out of his last 10, which isn't too bad either. But that's just a thought. That's one way that you can look at it. I do like maybe just the over in his rebounds. To get one more rebound, you're getting plus money anyway. It's better than plus 100, right? Let me quickly double check that. Rebounds for Tatum. Yes, I'm getting plus 115 for his rebounds, but if you do some line shopping, you'll probably be able to find it even better. It's pretty much aligned to what we're seeing here on Outlier. So just over in his rebounds, I think still could be a good play, but at the 9.5 is available on your daily fantasy apps. I think 9.5 boards for Jason Tatum is definitely a good look. All right, who else we got? Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown was excellent in that last game. scored 28 points. So far in this series, 32, down to 19, back up to 28. He played 40 minutes. He was very efficient. Only took 17 shots in that game, but shot 76% from the field. 2 from 3 from downtown. Didn't make his free throw. So I did bet the over last time for Jaylen Brown. But the reason why I bet the over was because I expected more volume. We didn't get the volume, but we got an extremely high percentage. So that bet still cashed. So I'm still waiting for the game where Jaylen Brown absolutely pumps out a lot of shots. So looking back on his last 10 in this series, shooting a lot less than he was in that Miami series, is what I'll say. In head-to-head matchups against Cleveland, he has had higher shot attempt games. So this 17 in the playoffs is without Kristaps Porzingis is somewhat, I wouldn't say concerning, but conservative, I would say. So I'd probably lean to the over for Jaylen Brown, keeping in mind this line has moved up since that last one. One prop of Jaylen Brown I do feel more confident in, though, is his first quarter points prop. So the line's at 5.5, and you get that for plus money. So he's cashed this in 7 out of his last 10 games against Cleveland. And in his last 10, he's cashed this in 6 out of his last 10. So Jaylen Brown in the first quarter was a moneymaker. He's hit this line in 67% of games so far this year. He just went under in that last Cleveland game. Only played 8 minutes. Jason Tatum took a whole lot of shots in that first quarter. They normally look to get Jaylen Brown going early. But given Tatum's struggles, they were trying to feed him early to break him out of a funk. Well, I think in this game, things return back to normal and Jaylen Brown's a little bit more aggressive. So for him to get 5.5 points in the first quarter and to get it at plus money, I'm all over that because you can see it here. He rarely has games where he goes under in 2 consecutive games. Looking back on his last 20, he's gone under this line 8 times. In 7 of those games, he bounced back to cover his first quarter points prop. So I'm all over the first quarter one. I've already placed that bet. It's for plus money. You'll see it on Winnable. Heck, you might have seen it in the video description because I don't even have to look into that. So Jaylen Brown, first quarter props. That's one thing I'm feeling. Rebound-wise, line's at 6.5. He had a lot of rebounds in that last game. 9 boards. First 2 games, he had 6 and 4 rebounds. Look, he played more minutes, rebound chances, 10, 8, and then back up to all the way up to 13 in that last game. Now, I wouldn't feel too confident in betting the over in his rebounds. In the past, he hasn't cashed it too well against Cleveland. Prior to that game, he did go under this line in 5 straight games. We could see him return back to the norm. That 9 could be an outlier, but I'm not overly comfortable to take Brown's under in rebounds purely because the Celtics are favored to win this game. The Cavs should brick a lot of shots and there'll be a lot of rebound chances. And if Jaylen Brown gets going early, that could be a very bad bet for me. So I'm not touching that. His assists, though, at 2.5, he's cashed this in 8 of his last 10 games against the Cleveland Cavaliers. In his last 10, he's cashed this in only 4 of his last 10. So that was the first game in this series where he's covered this line. He did have 7 potential assists in that game. His potential assists don't change too much. It comes down to who he's passing the ball to. So, look, I'd probably lean to the over, but I'm not overly confident in betting that play. If I had to take a Jaylen Brown bet, it'd be over in his points, but I do like his first quarter points a lot better. All right, who else we got in this broke-ass team? We got Derek White. So Derek White been somewhat disappointing so far in the last 2 games. So looking at the last 2 games, what's this outlier telling me? Rebounds and assists, he's gone under 9 of his last 10. Okay, good to know. Now, points, 15.5. His line has not moved. Despite 2 slow games, his line is holding at 15.5. He scored 25 in the first game, 10 and 12 in the 2 games after. Minutes are pretty decent. His shot percentage and his field goal attempts are down, though. Last 2 games, 11 and 13 shot attempts, 27 and 31% from the field. He's not shooting threes very well, 1 from 8, and then he followed up with 3 from 8. He was one of the leans I probably would have had to go over. Luckily, I didn't take that bet, but yeah, the volume not necessarily high for Derek White, and a lot of this is determined by how well he starts. If he shoots the ball well early, he's going to take a lot more shots. So it's not necessarily a volume concern. It's a field goal percentage concern that I'd be worried about. I'd lean to the over, but it's not a bet that I want to take. And I think he's a type of player that can get cooking. I don't think he's going to have one good game and then fall back off. I think once he has that good game, he'll keep rolling with some confidence. So more of a wait and see for Derek White. His assist line, 4.5. He's covered this in 2 out of the 3 games, 5, 5, and 3. Potential assists in that last game were down, only 4. 7 and 10 in the first game. So given the potential assists, somewhat inconsistent, I wouldn't be able to bet his assist prop, that's for sure. Rebound-wise, line's at 3.5. He's covered this in 1 of 3 games. 1, 4, and 3. Rebound chances of 2, 7, and 7. So You need 4 rebounds from 7 potential rebound chances that he's going to get, which feels like the line's pretty much spot on for me. So the rebounds and assists is what Outlier displayed for me when I first jumped into Derek White, and that's because he hasn't been hitting it well. He's gone under in 9 of his last 10 games, and then against the Cleveland Cavaliers, he's gone under in 7 of his last 10 games. 6.1 rebound chances on average and 6.8 potential assists on average. So, yeah, I think if this wasn't the playoffs and this was a regular season game, this was a bet that I'd take because the numbers look great. But I'm not betting like that for these playoffs, I'll tell you that. So that could be a good look if you're interested. We then have Drew Holiday. So Drew Holiday was awesome in that last game. I do have a lean for him already. Might be a tough one to wrap your head around, but I'm feeling it. So this is his points. Line's at 12.5. He's cashed this in 2 out of his last 10 games. But he has cashed this in 2 out of the 3 games so far in this series. 14, 4, and then 18 points. Minutes are pretty good for Drew Holiday. His attempts, 14 in game 1, 7 in game 2, 10 in game 3. Shot an amazing percentage, 70% from the field, 3 from 4 from downtown, and he even added a free throw. So my personal lean on this one is an under. Looking at the under for Drew Holiday, 12.5 points. I think if this was at 11.5, I'd probably be a little bit hesitant, but at 12.5, I can really back the under there with some confidence. In head-to-head matches, he's 3-3. So I'm looking at this year, though, this season. What do we? Oh, these are all this season. What am I talking about? 11, 15, 12, 14, 4, and then 18. After a big game like that, scoring 18 points, I don't think he can back it up and cover this line again. So if we look back over his last 20, let's go a bit. What was I looking at here? Last 20. He's gone under this line in 14 of his last 20 games, which I think is the norm. If we just look at the playoffs, in the playoffs, he's only gone over this line twice, which I said. Went under this line in every game against the Miami Heat. Against Cleveland, I don't see him shooting 70% again. So I think the only way for him to cover this line is if he takes 14 to 15 shots. Given how Jason Tatum's playing at the moment, Jaylen Brown, hopefully we get some Derek White shots up. I don't think Drew Holiday needs to overcompensate for anybody. So I'm leaning to the under there. It's quite a risky play, but I don't know. I've just got a feeling after that big game that he has a slow one, that he's not going to go back-to-back. Looking at his assists, 4.5's the line. He's covered this in 1 of 3 games in this series. He went 2, 3, and 5. Potential assists, 2, up to 9, and then 8. So depending on where his potential assists are, I think this line's pretty much spot on, but could be something that people take because of the odds. The odds for it are great, but yeah, I'd probably lean to the under if I'm being honest with you. Rebounds, 5.5 boards for Drew Holiday. He had 8 rebounds in that last game. 2 out of the 3 games in this series, 6, 2, and 8. He had 12 rebound chances in that last one. He was a beast. These rebounds seem like a massive outlier to me. Looking at head-to-head numbers, he's 2 out of the 6 games. So 2 out of the 3 games in the playoffs. Prior to that, in the regular season, he was not getting these rebound chances and he wasn't getting these boards. So I think the appropriate way to bet it is the under, but it's not something that I'm feeling. I'm feeling the under in his points. I could look at the PRA, to be honest. Now think about it. If I am leaning the under on all 3, that could be a safer bet, I'd say. PRA, 22.5 for Drew Holiday. So he's hit this PRA in 44% of games this year. Just had a massive game, 31 PRA. So even in game 1 where he covered his points line, he still went under this PRA. And that's the type of game that I would probably be expecting from Drew. So, yeah, I think the PRA could be a better look here. Minus 115 to the under. Yeah, I might have a look at fading Drew after a strong game. Let me take note of that. All right. Who else do we got? We got old man Al Horford. So his PRA, I'm thinking about the under. And I've been thinking about his under for quite some time now. Let me get it up for you. So it's now... it's 19.5. Yeah, I saw 18.5 in other places, but at 19.5, even better. So he's gone under this in 10 straight games, Al Horford. So with or without Kristaps Porzingis, his production doesn't change. So far in this series, 19 in the game 1, 14 in game 2, then 11 in game 3. Trending down, and I don't think the need for him to get all these buckets is not necessarily required. I will confess, in that last game, he did shoot poorly, 1 from 7. So we should see a bounce back. And he could go 3 from 7. That's his I think that's a fair assessment for him to go 3 from 7, aligns with his averages. That'll give him 6 more points, but that only puts him to 17 PRA if he rebounds the same. So, leaning the under here for Al Horford purely because the hit rate's there. And I did watch that last game, and he finished on 7 rebounds, but man, he's not trying to rebound. He's doing the right thing. He's boxing out, doing all these things. So, Al Horford, the under in the PRA, definitely has my attention. So, I'll be researching that one, see if I can find some juice with it. And outside of that, if we're looking at the bench, I think Peyton Pritchard's probably the only one worth a look. I do have the data doesn't point in this direction, but I do feeling that he comes back and goes over. My concern is around volume, though. So the line's at 7.5 for Peyton Pritchard. So far in this series, 16, 13, and then 5 points in that last game. His minutes are pretty much the same, but in the first 2 games, he shot the ball 12 and 10 times. That last game, he only shot the ball 4 times. So it really comes down to volume. If Peyton Pritchard's going to take, he's going to get the minutes, but if he's going to take 10 shots, then take the over for sure. But it was weird. He only shot 4 attempts in the last game. Boston were winning that game too, so he got the minutes, just didn't get the shots up. So I'm cautiously avoiding it, but I'd lean to the over because I would expect his shot attempts to return to the norm, but there is no norm for Peyton Pritchard, really. So, yeah, I'm leaning to the over, but not with any confidence. So I'm not even taking that one down. But quite a few in this game that I don't mind. I should end up with at least 2 to 3 bets in this game. We'll see where I land. But let's jump into the next game. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks. So the Mavericks now up 2-1. Is that right? 2-1? So that last game was pretty much a repeat of game 2. So game 2 and 3, very similar. But let's take a look at these guys on the road first. So a lot of people are making money off fading Luka, taking his unders, which makes perfect sense. He's banged up. Numbers are trending down for Luka. So his points line's at 28.5. So far in this series, he scored 19, 29, and 22 points. His minutes are there. His field goal attempts in this series are low, 19, 21, and 17, much lower compared to what he was doing against the Clippers. Now, OKC, a lot of blitzing. They're getting the ball out of his hands. They're doing a great job of slowing Luka and Kyrie, and they're daring the role players to beat them. Now, this is a home game for Dallas, and at home, these role players may step up. So Luka points might not be required in this one. So I'd probably lean to the under, but this guy's that good. I'm probably not going to bet it. Not on its own anyway. Let's take a look at his assist prop, 8.5, because this is an interesting trend to it as well. You can see in this series, 9, 7, and 5 assists for Luka Doncic. His potential assists, very similar graph, 20, 15, and then back down to 10. So he's trending down when it comes to his assist prop. And that's because, and what's interesting is the 2 games that Dallas won was when Luka had 7 assists and 5 assists. So Luka not hogging the ball and letting that thing whip around, trusting his role players is leading to the Mavs' success. And I think if the Mavs are going to keep winning this series, we need less Luka dominating the ball and for the other guys to get heavily involved, such as Kyrie. So, yeah, I'm leaning to the under on Luka Doncic's assists, just purely based on how this is trending. The only way I'd probably bet the over is if his assists were going down, but Dallas were losing. That means with Luka, you'd probably expect him to take more control, but they've got a winning recipe right now. Let's not spoil that. And the other thing that could kill this bet is if OKC suddenly switch their strategy and they allow Luka to go one-on-one more often, or not go one-on-one more often, but they blitz him less, let him go one-on-one, and then the help defense comes, and then he can find some shooters. But at the moment, they're blitzing him early. He's getting a lot of hockey assists. So, and I don't believe OKC are going to change the way that they're playing defense. It's gotten them this far. So I probably lean to the under in his assists. Now, his rebound line's at 9.5. He has cashed this in 2 out of the 3 games, 6 and then 10 and then 15 rebounds in that last game. His rebound chances are trending upwards as well. I'm not betting this, but I'll probably lean to the over on his rebounds. But what I'm thinking is more about the points plus assists. I'm thinking of taking the under on his points plus assists. So this is cash in all 3 games. I think in order for him to cash this bet, he'd need to score at least 30 points. And we've seen it so far in the trends. His shot attempts are down. His potential assists are down. Kyrie's doing a lot more work. And those role players are stepping up. So if those role players suck, then, yeah, this could put this play in jeopardy. But which is why I'm probably just going to bet his assists. Because in order for this assist to cash, in order for him to go over his assists, We need the role players to play great. We need Luka to be the man to pass it to them. We need OKC to blitz and double really. But I think they're blitzing to try to get the ball out of his hands. He's not finding people who are in a spot to shoot. So yeah, I think the under an assist is better look for Luka. Well, that's what I'm thinking anyway. So I'll leave it up to you to make your own decisions. But yeah, that's where my mind goes. Next up, we have Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie's points props at 22.5. He's gone under in all 3 games, 20, 9, and then 22. His minutes are good. His field goal attempts not very high. He did shoot 17 in the last game, shot 59% from the field, 2 from 6 from downtown, but he didn't get to the free throw line at all. So Kyrie points prop, not something that I'm willing to play with right now. Based on how OKC is defending him, he's not going to force up shots unless he has to. Play that, I'm probably not the only one, but a lot of people have been looking at this as he's under 4.5 points in the first quarter. He's gone under in 9 consecutive games now. Minus 110 if you choose to take it. All 3 games this series, he's gone under. I just feel like, yeah, it's going to get to a point now I'm only betting it because it keeps hitting, and those things tend to blow up in my face eventually, so I want to avoid that from occurring. He did score 4 points in that last game. I think the risks. I think I've run too many times. Data says he goes under. His shot attempts, his minutes, all those things. It all points to the under. I'm not going to bet the over. I'm just not going to bet this at all because I feel like he can only keep going under for so long, right? One thing I am going to bet the over on is his assist prop. 5.5 is the line. His cash is in 2 out of the 3 games. 3 assists in game 1, 11 in game 2, 7 in game 3. So I'm running it back. I did bet this last time. And the reason I bet it is because of these potential assist numbers. 20 potential assists in game 2. Had 16 potential assists in game 3. And I'm expecting much more of the same. So those potential assists should be there. For him to get 6 assists, if he's got about 15 potential assists, I think that's a really great number, to be honest. So I am liking Kyrie's over in assists, and I most likely will play that again. His rebound line is at 4.5. His cash is in 1 out of the 3 games, 1, 3, and then 5. Potential rebounds, 5, 9, and 10. So the rebounds prop, not something that I'm willing to get around, but the assist prop, most definitely. Another one we could potentially look at here is his steals plus blocks or his steals prop. So the steals prop, very consistent. He's covered two steals in 8 of his last 10 games. Did only have 1 steal in that last game, but he has cashed this in 3 out of 5 games against OKC. Sweaty bet because he doesn't get over two steals that often. He finishes 2 quite a lot. But yeah, just look, that's another one with a good hit rate. I'm not going to take that bet, but just here to preview the numbers for you, lads. Next up, we got DG, Daniel Gafford. Now, the last game, you read it perfectly. We said we're not taking Daniel Gafford today. We went with Derek Lively, and we were rewarded for it. Now, Daniel Gafford, his points line's at 9.5. He's cashed this in 3 of his last 10. In head-to-head matches with OKC, out of the 5 games. Only had 8 in that last game. His minutes were down. He did get injured again. So that's 2 consecutive games where he's gotten injured. But his shot attempts have not been high. Free throws has not been delivering. So I don't know how injured Daniel Gafford is. I just know that I'm not taking his points prop. If he wasn't injured, I probably would, because he does perform well against OKC, but that's a little of a gray area for me. So I'm not feeling Daniel Gafford in this one, but I'm here to show you the numbers. Line at 6.5. He's cashed this in 2 out of the 3 games, 11, 7, and 5. Mostly impacted by minutes. The minutes weren't there, so he didn't get the opportunities, but he has rebounded well against OKC in the past. Very much the same as his points. So if you're looking at Daniel Gafford, just take points plus rebounds. I'm not going to be touching it. I don't like that he's gotten injured in 2 straight games. He'll probably still play, but we've seen him start and get a lot less minutes. Someone you could look at is Derek Lively. And I personally am looking at the points plus rebounds for Derek Lively. Let's talk about it. His points line is at 6.5. He's cashed this in 1 out of the 3 games. So only 2 points in each of the first 2 games. But then he had 12 points in that last one. He got a lot more minutes at 27. And he cashed this line quite regularly against the Los Angeles Clippers, 5 straight games. So Derek Lively has to do with more length with Chet Holmgren. If you look here, hasn't been shooting very well against OKC. 1 from 3, then 1 from 7, then 2 from 7, which gives us tremendous upside. Because on the season, this fellow is shooting 72% from the field. That's a lot of layups and a lot of dunks. Against OKC, has had his struggles, but more so in the playoffs. In the regular season, he was sweet. In the playoffs, he's been struggling, and that's based on how OKC plays defense. Exposing Derek Lively under the ring. He doesn't have a good touch, doesn't have too many moves in there. But if it's just layups and dunks, he's money. But the main reason why I like the 6.5 points for Derek Lively is the old Hacker Lively strategy. So if we look at this last game, he scored 12 points. He only made 2 buckets, right? But check out his free throws. 8 from 12 free throws he shot in that game. So OKC intentionally fouling Derek Lively and setting him to the line, thinking that he's only going to make 1 from 2. Now, he did shoot 8 from 12, 67%, not great. But if OKC are going to deploy that strategy, then Derek Lively to get some points for sure. He should get at least 4 to 5 throws if they're hacking him late in the quarters. So Derek Lively points I do like. His rebound prop is at 6.5. He's cashed this in his last 10. So the rebounds, I don't love as much of his points prop. Did have 8 boards in that last game, though. 16 rebound chances in his extra minutes, but he might not get that many minutes. So I think the points prop is probably the way to go. Derek Lively, or you can do the points plus rebounds for him as well. That could be a good look. But for me, I'm probably liking the points prop more than anything, especially if they're going to foul his ass. I'm down for that. All right, so up next, let's take a look at PJ Washington. Man's been on fire over the last 2 games. So let's check him out real quick. I'm a little bit torn about how I feel about PJ Washington. His points line is at 15.5. So far in this series, 10, 29, and 27 points. Last 2 games, he's been huge. Minutes are through the roof. Shot attempts higher than Luka's and Kyrie's. 18 and 23 shot attempts. From deep, 11 and 12 3-pointers, connecting on 7 and 5. So, look, safe to say the last 2 games for PJ Washington, he's been an absolute monster. And a lot of this is by design. If you've seen the way the OKC play defense, whoever's sitting on that weak side corner, a lot of the time it is PJ Washington. Their defender is sitting in the paint, waiting for that pick and roll. They're getting lively and gaffed early. And that corner is being left wide open every single time. So it is by design. My only concern is if OKC switch things up. So SGA said in his last interview that they got to turn off the tap for PJ Washington, then they need to stop him. So he's on their radar now. So I'm probably not going to bet it. If he takes the same amount of shots and OKC doesn't change their defense, then this is easy money. I have a feeling they're going to switch things up. So I'm not taking the points line, regardless of how great this is, just on the off chances. At the minute OKC changes their defense, then PJ Washington is not going to get close. Now, here's assist prop. This is something I could get around. 1.5 assists. 0, 4, and 2 assists so far in the 3 games. Potential assists 0, 8, and then 4. So as his usage rate has increased, so have his assists. Now, there's a chance here that they try to get the ball out of his hands for once. And if they do, then the assist prop could be on there for PJ Washington. Looking at his rebound line, 6.5. He's only cashed this in 1 of 3 games against OKC. 6, 11, and 6. Rebound chances from 8, 16, and then 12. I think that 10 to 12 mark is where it should be. And 6.5 is an appropriate line for the number of potential rebounds that he's going to have. So, yeah, I'm neither here nor there. I think the line is exactly where it needs to be for PJ Washington. Next up, we got Derek Jones Jr. Now, in the last game, I actually did bet his over in points. I'm pretty sure I did. I either bet it or I had it as a strong lean. And the reason why I bet it was volume. So his line's at 8.5. He's only cashed this in 1 of 3 games. 7, 9, and 3 points for Derek Jones Jr. Now, the minutes are pretty good. He's the main defender in SGA. But look at the volume in the last 2 games. He shot 3 for 12 in this game, scoring 9 points. So then I backed his over, thinking if that's the type of volume he's going to get, similar to PJ Washington, they are leaving him wide open for shots. The same thing happened again, but he only shot 1 from 10 in that last game against OKC. So I was right about the volume being there. I did not expect him to shoot 1 from 10 in that game. So I'm close to just running it back because the insight was good. I thought he'd get a lot of open shots. I thought he'd get a lot of shots, but unfortunately he missed a lot of them. So can he shoot 10%? Again and again and again. I'm just looking at his last 20 games to see if he's shot that poorly before. So 17, 0, 1 from 6, 0 for 4 down here. Then he finally picked it back up, shooting 4 from 8. Yeah. I think the volume is great, but the shot percentage is so bad. So I'm probably not going to touch that. Derek Jones rebounds, 4.5 boards. He has cashed in 1 of 3 games against OKC, 2, 5, and then 4. Line at 4.5. He did have 3 rebound chances in that last game, but he only finished with 4. So, Yeah, I think that line is very sharp as well. So I've got no leans on Derek Jones Jr. Looking to see who else there is. We've gone through Derek Lively. That's pretty much all the Mavs that are worth going through. Let's get through this OKC Thunder team. We'll start with SGA, who's been great. Let's see, he has been great. But the lines have started to move, so I think the value is gone for SGA. But look at his points. His line's at 30.5. That's where it should be. 30.5. 2 out of the 3 games, 29, 33, and 31. And his attempts, 19, 24, and 23. Getting to the throw line as well, making a couple of threes. Now, I'd personally lean to the over on this purely because OKC are down 2-1. So they need a big game at SGA. If they go down 3-1, they're pretty much toast. So I would lean to the over. I'm not going to bet this one, I don't think, but I'm definitely leaning that way. But I think there are better bets out there, but I do like the over for his points. Now, with his assists, that line's at 6.5. He had 9, 8, and then 6 assists in that last game. His potential assists have not changed over the 3 games, 13, 14, and 14. What was different about that last game, first game in Dallas, and the role players for OKC did not shoot the ball that well. So I think this line is perfectly placed at 6.5. He should get the same number of potential assists, but how well are the role players going to play from OKC whilst they're on the road? That I do not know, but the potential assists, they'll definitely be there. Rebounds. Now, this looks like the strongest play. He's hit this in 3 games, 9, 12, and 10 boards for SGA. The line has moved up. The last game, it was 6.5, and I had that as a lean. He had 10 rebounds in that game. Now we're seeing it at 7.5. And these numbers, rebound numbers for SGA, outrageous. These potential rebounds, super high. But the good thing is they are consistent. So this is one of those plays where it has hit in 4 consecutive games now. Now I'm just waiting for him to fall back. I don't want to bet it now because the line has moved up, so I feel like the value is gone. And also, any minute now, he's going to fall off the cliff and get back to doing what he used to. So it looks like a good play. I'm not going to take it. Chances are it hits, but I just don't want to be part of that. I can see the drop-off coming, and I don't want to be a part of it. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on SGA. I honestly think he can go over all of his. The PRA might be a good look, to be honest, but I'm not too confident in that. One player that I do like for a strong game is J-Dub, Jalen Williams, and I do like him to score more, so points. Points is the main thing I'd be looking at. 19.5, it's a plus money play for Jalen Williams. So far in this series, he scored 18, 20, and 16 points in the 3 games. So he's thereabouts every single time. His minutes have not changed in those 3 games. This is what was interesting, though. 15 attempts in game 1, 17 in game 2. Game 3, he only shot the ball 12 times. Made 7 buckets, so he shot a high percentage, but the volume was definitely not there. 1 from 2 from deep, didn't get to the free throw line, so he lacked the aggressiveness in the last game. And similar to Anthony Edwards, I think Jalen Williams is going to bounce back here. He needs to be. He's meant to be their second best player, and he's not playing like that right now. So he needs to bump up his aggressiveness. He needs to get more shots up and ease the burden from SGA. So Jalen Williams points, I do like the over for that. His assists minus 150 though, so that's not great. He's gone 5, 4, and 8 assists in the 3 games. He had 11 potential assists in that last game, which makes sense. Man's not shooting enough. So for this, I'd probably lean to the under. And the under, plus 130. So you're getting pretty good odds for it in head-to-head matchups against Dallas in the last 2 years. The under has hit in 5 of his last 10. But there's definitely a lean to the over here. But I just think given the way that he play, the assists probably won't be there if he's going to be shooting the ball a lot more. Now, I'm hoping he shoots the ball up a lot more. I'm not saying he will, but I'm hopeful. His rebound line, 5.5, 5 out of his last 10. Against Dallas, 5, 4, and 6 rebounds. 5.5 is at plus money, and I think it should be. Looking at potential rebounds, 7, 10, and 11 potential rebound chances. So I think that line is just about right. I couldn't confidently bet the under or the over for Jalen Williams. So that's a pretty sharp one right there. And then we have Chet Holmgren. So I did back his unders in the last game, under 15.5 points, and that cashed for us nicely. Looking at his line today, it's moved down to 14.5. So far in this series, 19, 11, and 13 points for Chet. His minutes are fine. His shot attempts on the decline, 16, 12. Then first game in Dallas, only took 9 shots, 56% from the field. This is where he's struggling. Last 2 games, struggling to shoot from downtown, and it's probably impacting his confidence. From the free throw line, 3 from 5 in that last game. So I'd probably lean to the under. I'm not going to bet it again because chances are he bounces back and goes over, but I don't have too much confidence in the over either, but I am leaning towards the under if I had to bet it. Looking at his assist line, 1.5. I did like this last time. I didn't take it, but he finished on 3 assists. So 2 games now, he's covered this. He went from 1, 6, and then 3 assists. This is one that I'd probably lean to the over with Chet, but his potential assist volumes are not very high. So you just need to get him in the right time. And his rebound line. Now, he's gone under this rebound line of 8.5 in 3 straight games. 7, 6, and 8 against Dallas. So he's gone under in all 3, but his line has not moved. It's sticking at 8.5. Sure, you're getting a bit more value for it, but the line is not moving. I can't help but lean to the under. But check this out. Last 2 games, 22 and 20 rebound chances. With that many rebound chances, he surely should be getting at least 10, but that's just not happening right now. So, yeah, I think that the chances are there for him to get 10. He just hasn't been getting them. So I'd lean to the over, but I don't think I'm going to be betting that for Chet Holmgren. I'm going to see if there's anybody else worth looking at here. I think Aaron Wiggins could be a good look. So I've got this written down as a lean already. Aaron Wiggins points. And we're looking at over 7.5. So he's cashed this in 2 out of the 3 games. 16, 9, and then 6 in that most recent game. Minutes, very much the same. 23, 20, 22. Field goal attempts are very much the same. 7, 6, and 7. That last game, 43% from the field, didn't make a 3-pointer. So he had been making 3-pointers in the previous games, and he didn't get to the free throw line as well. But his minutes, his opportunities are very much the same when he has been cashing. So this is a play that I'm definitely considering. His minutes are a lot higher in this series than it was against the Pelicans, and he is taking some minutes from Josh Giddey. So for 7.5 plus money, it's definitely something that I'm considering at the moment. I don't mind this play. I like the over there for Aaron Wiggins, but I'll research that a little bit further. Other than that, I think you got all the information that you need to make the best bets possible, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you're interested in seeing what bets I choose to take, you can tail my bets. You can find them on the winnable link in the video description below. Also, in the last video, I promised you guys that I'll put together my NBA tools and resources, which I have done. So you can download those in the link in the video description as well. It's called the NBA tools and resources. I spent some time looking at all the different tools that I use, put them all into a little table for you so you can see what they are, what the link is, what they're used for, and whether it's paid or free. So hopefully that helps you out to close out the rest of these playoffs. Other than that, I've got a really interesting show coming up tomorrow. The episode video for tomorrow, I'm going to have a special guest with me. And this particular person, I think, is up 800 units on this NBA season. Maybe he can talk some sense into us, help us out in finding some more winners on the NBA in this playoffs. But until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.